Man, I mean, I have to be honest. I really thought when Bondi came out a couple of weeks ago and said, "Yeah, we looked at it. There's nothing there." I thought that I actually thought, well, that would be the end of it. I really, honestly thought this would not stick to him in any way, shape, or form. I have been amazed and delighted to see that this story suddenly has traction. And the more we look into it and the more he continues to obfuscate, the more I'm starting to think, my God, like, what did this guy do? It is Have I Got News for Your Ears, the podcast expansion of the Have I Got News for You cinematic universe. I am your host, Michael Ian Black, discussing the news of the week, interviewing terrific guests. This week, we have one of my favorite guests from Have I Got News for You, the comedian and writer Jenny Hagel. I am joined this episode, as I am every episode so far, by Jim Biederman and Jodi Lennon, producers of Have I Got News for You. How was your week, people?
Fine.
That was a hard question.
I want to get to the news. I mean, did anything happen this week?
Well, let's start off with where Trump is, because he's not in Washington.
Remind me who Trump is.
Donald Trump, Donald Trump Sr. is the president of the United States. Still. Mm-hmm. And this week in Scotland, because he owns a golf course there.
They were opening a new course at Turnberry, right? Is that what's happening?
Is that what it is? So there's it's already one golf course. They're opening up another one.
I think, I don't know.
His resort that he owns there. The ribbon cutting, like all things Trump. Well, here it is.
I hope everybody in Scotland and well beyond Scotland enjoys it for many, many years to come. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Now, I just want to play that again. If you just look in the background, it looks like someone throws a bomb at him or a smoke bomb.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
I don't know. Was it like a misguided firework?
Oh, I actually think I know what that is.
What?
That's a prairie dog fart. Sometimes you'll be out on the golf course and you just see a plume.
That's trail dust.
Michael, that's what I like about you. I went fart too.
You did?
I thought, whose fart is that?
Was there ever an explanation for what that is? Because that does seem slightly alarming that some sort of explosive device goes off directly behind the President of the United States. Even, admittedly, a small one, a little smoke bomb or something, but maybe it was that lady who has now passed, Jane Godley. Last time she went, she held up a sign that said Trump is and then you understand the word that begins with C that they use more frequently in the UK than they do here. I wonder if maybe she, from beyond, was just sort of hurling those little snap things. You ever get those when you were a kid?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
You know, that little box snap. You throw them and they.
Yep.
Maybe it's Jane.
Yep.
I hope it was.
The Scots, I have to say, they never disappoint in their ability to protest someone. Mm-hmm. They just don't give a shit. Here is
they're a querulous people. They don't take
querulous.
Any guff.
Yeah, you've seen Braveheart.
I was just going to say, they're not taking it from anybody.
Stephen Flynn, who is the Scottish National Party leader in Westminster, so in London, was asked if he was going to be meeting with Trump while Trump was in.
It's a fair question.
I think it's a completely fair question. Here's that little Scotsman's answer. He's bald. He's completely bald.
I'll not be meeting with the president. I'll be busy getting a haircut or washing my hair.
Well, somebody had his haggis this morning.
Exactly. I like his answer, but I like her response even more. Like, "Oh, you didn't do that." They don't care.
They don't care.
Why would they? Like, why would they? You know, they're a nation that has no real dealings with that person. Why bother? You know, yes, he comes to their country to promote his golf course every few years, but other than that, why should they care?
But his mother is from there. He has family there still.
Oh, I had forgotten that she was born
Yes.
in Scotland, right?
She's Scottish.
She was Scottish.
And-
Yeah.
And did she have the brogue?
That's a really good question. I don't remember. She certainly had the hairdo.
Yes, but I don't think you can blame Scotland for that.
No. No.
If you've never seen pictures of his mother, it looks like she just whipped a meringue on her head. It's the most
look like
bizarre. It's the most bizarre bouffant I think I've ever seen, rivaled only by that of her
Yeah,
son.
they have a history of hairdos.
Yeah.
They sure do. I'm going to call them hair don'ts, to be honest.
So Trump's in Scotland. While he was there, he's done a lot of press conferences.
Right.
Somebody asked him a question, and I think it's time to play a game. What was the question? Because his answer, if I can get this to play, I'll play it, and then
Okay,
I'll ask you.
let's
what
see
the
if we
question
can
was.
decipher
Okay,
the question.
all right. Here we go.
A lot of these farms, they don't make a lot of money, but it's a way of life, and they love their way of life, and they love that dirt. That dirt is the most beautiful thing they've ever seen. They love it. I mean, they're farmers. They love doing it. They don't know how to do anything else, but they don't want to do anything else. I speak to farmers. I say, would you like to live in my penthouse in Manhattan? It's the most beautiful. No, sir, I want this farm. And what happens is, we were losing a lot of people to suicide.
Okay, I think I know what the question was.
Okay.
President Trump, how often are you in the Epstein files?
I bet you're right.
Actually, Keir Starmer was talking about farm subsidies in the UK, and then old Dingleberry decided to add into it. Turnberry decided to add into it. But yeah, I think your question makes more sense.
Because no matter what the question is, he always hears that question now too.
Yeah, he
Silently,
sure does.
he hears it.
He did a lot of press conferences. He's kind of running around for all the complaining about why am I always being asked about this. He's still subjecting himself because he can't help himself to what he thinks will be public adoration. Right. He still puts himself on the line. I will say that the Scots they're definitely used to dealing with Trump. They don't like him. They never have. I think they're a little ashamed that his mother is from there. But someone came up with a pretty good way to handle. Basically, whenever he opens his mouth, this guy does this.
So everybody respects it. It's going to be a lot of jobs for here. Great for America. And, in terms of even the relationship, our relationship is unparalleled, but it keeps it even closer.
Nobody finds bagpipes more irritating than me, and yet I'll take bagpipes every second of the day over that.
Good old BBC London got in on the act in regards to kind of poking Trump on the whole Epstein thing.
The Jeffrey Epstein saga has followed Donald Trump to Scotland. This van bearing their pictures appearing in Aberdeen today.
Man, I have to be honest. I really thought when Bondi came out a couple of weeks ago and said, yeah, we looked at it, there's nothing there. I thought I actually thought, well, that would be the end of it. I really honestly thought this would not stick to him in any way, shape, or form. I have been amazed and delighted to see that this story suddenly has traction. And the more we look into it and the more he continues to obfuscate and backpedal and throw out, those smoke bombs or groundhog farts, the more I'm starting to think, my God, like, what did this guy do? Like, how bad is it? with this guy.
You know, it's not all Jeffrey Epstein and nasty name calling. You know, he's in the United Kingdom. He got a little business done. Here's CNN reporting
They're terrific.
what he achieved.
Today, Trump announced the outline of a trade agreement during a meeting with the leader of the EU in Scotland, calling it the biggest deal ever made. It includes a 15% tariff on all goods from the EU, including automobiles. Now, that's much lower than the 30% the president had originally threatened to impose, but higher than the 10% the EU was looking for.
So what I take away from that is everything from Europe is going to cost 15% more. Is that my understanding? Did I get that right? And that's a win for
The
us?
interesting thing about the European Union trade deal, which is, if you buy into it, the French are very angry about it, but they're very upset because they feel it's worse for the EU than it is for America, primarily because, and here's the part that Donald Trump doesn't like to talk about, 15% higher prices on their products in the U.S. means less will be bought, and then therefore less will be ordered and knock-on effect. The interesting thing is that wine and food, which is the two biggest areas of exports for the EU, are not in this deal, and no one really completely knows what's in the deal because it was just a PR.
Yeah,
it was just a
they're
press
just
announcement.
shaking hands and
Of course.
made a call.
That's what it all is with him. Well, CNN said it in the thing. He announces the outline of a trade deal. Well, that's not a trade deal. That is, like, if I announce to you, I've written the outline of a screenplay, I can't imagine you're going to be particularly impressed by that. Jim, I'm announcing the outline of Fast and the Furious 22.
Did they hire you to write that?
No, it's the biggest Fast and Furious movie ever made.
Congratulations, Michael.
And
Wow.
Thank you so
I know,
much.
right? Our own Michael Ian Black writing the 22nd,
Outline.
is it?
22, yeah.
Outline, the 22nd
yes.
outline of Fast and the Furious.
Well, it's essentially the movie's made. The movie is essentially made, and it's grossed more money than anybody thought possible.
Wow, that's impressive. Well,
Is it the
congratulations,
best?
Michael.
Thank you so
Is it
much.
the best outline ever written?
I wouldn't say that, but many people are. Many people are coming up to me, tears streaming down their faces, saying, "Michael, Fast and the Furious 22 is the greatest cinematic masterpiece ever created." And some of them, they're shaking when they say this, and they say not only that, it might be the greatest piece of art ever created. Nobody's taking anything away from Leonardo da Vinci. Nobody's taking anything away from Picasso or Miles Davis. But my movie, it's right up there. It's right up there.
I hear, Michael, that no one's ever seen anything like it before.
Nobody's ever seen anything like this before. I'm telling you, it's coming out in right around 2 weeks from now. And when it does, people aren't going to believe it. They're not going to believe it. Nobody would have thought this was even possible, but I did it. Now look, are they handing out Nobel Peace Prizes for writing outlines for the Fast and Furious 22?
They should.
I don't know. I don't know. It's not for me.
You've been robbed.
It's not for me to say.
Those people that aren't acknowledging it sound like sickos.
That's okay. That's okay. You know, they don't want to give me credit. That's okay. That's not why I'm doing this. That's not what this is about for me.
So along those lines, Donald Trump went over there to obviously not talk about Epstein. We see that Epstein is on everyone's minds. He's not. I don't know. He's faltering. I don't know what's going on with him. He's losing his touch, like no one's ever seen before. He's losing his touch, and he goes and he gets to do this big announcement about the EU deal. Gets a little bit of respite. Then he's asked this.
Mr. President,
And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island.
There's literally something wrong with him, I think.
Everything is wrong with him. So I just want to make sure I understand what's happening here.
Yeah.
There were files, and during the campaign, Trump and all his people said, all these files are going to
But let's be clear what the files are. The files are, from what I understand, thousands upon thousands of pages of investigations of various different cases within the umbrella being the Epstein files.
Great. So there's these files, and within those files are lists of names, people associated with this person. And during the campaign, Trump and his minions said, all of it's coming out. All of it's coming out. As soon as I'm back in office, we're gonna put these pedophiles in jail, and that'll be the end of them. He gets into office, the files are not released. A first tranche is released and given to right wing,
which was stuff that was already released.
And then a month or two goes by, and then Pam Bondi gets on TV and says, you know what? We goofed up. There are no files. There's no list. There never was. Okay.
Right.
But then Trump is now in Scotland saying, oh, no, there's a list. Yeah. There's definitely a list. Bill Clinton's on it, and Larry Sumner's is on it, and probably Bill Gates is on, and all these other people too. So but he's not releasing it. The plot, he said, was Democrats organizing this smear campaign against Trump. So why isn't he releasing the full files that have all these Democrats implicated in it? Because it seems like a very convoluted way to get at Trump.
But there's a central figure who's still around, who happens to be in jail, serving her sentence of 20 years, I believe, for her involvement. Her name is Ghislaine Maxwell. But she was, for everyone who doesn't know, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator in all his heinous crimes. Trump's Department of Justice has sent down Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who also happens to be Trump's former personal lawyer, maybe still is his personal lawyer, to interview Ghislaine Maxwell on no one really knows. There's been accusations that maybe they have given her some form of immunity to answer these questions, what they call a proffer, what they call a queen for a day, where you basically can say whatever you want and it won't be used against you. No one will talk about what they're talking about, and everyone just assumes the worst, which is Trump is probably getting ready to give her a pardon to shut her up so that there's even one less potential voice from the Epstein files that could corroborate that Trump was much more involved than what he's claiming. So here is a reporter asking Donald Trump, why interview Ghislaine Maxwell? What is there? What's going to happen? And is this perhaps an advanced move to something else?
Pardon for who?
For Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon.
But you are.
Nobody's approached me with it. Nobody's asked me about it. It's in the news about that aspect of it, but right now it would be inappropriate to talk about it. So.
Why would it be inappropriate to talk about it? The appropriate thing to do is to say, I would never pardon her. She is guilty of the most despicable crimes that I can think of. I can do it. Maybe I will. There's no other appropriate response. That is the appropriate response. It wouldn't be appropriate to talk about?
It's like the answer to gun violence. Well, it's not appropriate time right now to talk. After a school shooting.
Right.
Isn't that the answer? Isn't that they normally say it's not appropriate right now to talk about it?
Thoughts and prayers. I'm surprised he didn't issue thoughts and prayers for Ghislaine Maxwell.
He has
in the past.
He wished her well once, I think.
He wishes her well. Yes, he did.
It's like his sign off, like you said.
I wish you very well.
His classic bit.
Thank you. Dear Ghislaine Maxwell, thank you for your consideration in this matter. I wish you well. But this is not the first time he's done the I'm allowed to, maybe. Here, we've done a little montage.
I don't want to talk about pardons for Michael Flynn yet.
You pardon Paul Manafort?
I have not even given it a thought as of this moment.
Roger Stone, are you going to pardon him, sir? He's been convicted of felonies.
Am I going to pardon him? Yes. Well, I hadn't thought of it. I think it's very tough what they did to Roger Stone.
So just to be clear, Michael Flynn, Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, all received pardons from Donald Trump. He didn't think about it. He just did it.
Yeah.
That's maybe more illuminating into his decision-making process than anything else. Yeah, I didn't think about it.
Right.
I don't think about things. I'm just thinking let's say he does pardon her.
Yeah.
What could possibly be the justification? What could the justification possibly be? Like just to his people.
It has to go along those lines. She gave information that changed the scope of the case. We're going to get into we're going to chase all these. And you essentially reframe the conspiracy to, we thought there was nothing there. Boy, oh boy, there's a lot there. And we're going to get back to you on it. But she told us stuff, and therefore we're going to pardon that innocent woman. And we'll call you when we have
when Bill Clinton is in alligator Alcatraz.
Right. So it's starting to happen a little bit. Here is Newsmax's Greg Kelly. I can't believe I actually say that name. Here's Newsmax's Greg Kelly. You all know him. You all love him. Starting the defense of Ghislaine Maxwell.
I do have a feeling that she just might be a victim. She just might be. There was a rush to judgment. There was a lot of chaos there for a while. All right, granted, she hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, and I know that's apparently not good, but she's in jail.
Hung out with.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, to your point, there's apparently Jeffrey Epstein hung out with a lot of people who had no idea what he was doing.
Including people who procured underage girls for him.
Including people who...
At a clip of around a dozen a day.
Yeah. I mean, they're talking thousands of girls. Thousands
One of them.
And I don't mean it, I don't say it lightly.
I know. Because it is.
No.
To call her a victim is despicable.
She was not a victim. She was, in fact, she's the perpetrator.
So she apparently is getting some kind of immunity. Trump is dangling pardons, and
he hasn't even thought about it.
Sorry, excuse me. Trump's not dangling pardons.
Thank you.
Yet. Be inappropriate. And on Monday, she took this step, another step, to try and get herself out of jail. She's on a roll at this point.
Attorneys for Ghislaine Maxwell made a final pitch to the Supreme Court. They're asking justices to overturn her 2021 conviction for conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to sexually abuse young girls, saying it violates an agreement that Epstein made back in 2008 that shielded any co-conspirators from prosecution.
Jim, were you telling me that they're talking to her alone too? Like, isn't she supposed to have?
Oh, so yeah. So this is fascinating. So it's Blanche, and then her attorney, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, Department of Justice traditional procedure is to have two people from the Department of Justice. One would be the questioner, and the other one is a witness to what was being said, asked, and what was being responded to. And so that it's not just through the mind of one person who's involved in the conversation, so they can't really be keeping notes and everything. There is not that person. It's similar to Trump talking to Putin without any translator on our side present.
Here's my question. Let's say, for example, that this whole thing blows up in Trump's face and Trump ends up being on the list, whatever that list is. And we already know he is, and we know there's plenty of mentions of him in the Epstein files. And he doesn't, obviously he admits to no wrongdoing because he never admits to wrongdoing. But it's clear that he is implicated heavily in this case. At that point, do his supporters turn?
A majority of MAGA are starting to go, wait a minute, but there's still in our government senators who are still trying to, like, find that way out for him. Here is one of my favorite senators from, I believe it's Oklahoma, Senator Marquayne Mullen. I know you love him too.
Love him.
Making the defense. Here we go.
But remember, there was a plea deal that was struck in 2009, way before I was in office, way before Trump was even considering to be in office, way before Pam Bondi was in office, way before Kash Patel was director. 2009, there was a sweetheart plea deal that was made underneath the Obama administration with Epstein.
Right. That's not
and that sweetheart has not been exposed.
No, it was 2000.
Oh, it's not? Well, when was the case heard?
It was 2008. It was the U.S. attorney at the time was a guy named Alex Acosta. He was a Bush appointee. He went on to become President Trump's Secretary of Labor. It all took place in 2008.
Who was in office at the time?
2008, George W. Bush.
Who was in office at the time?
George W. Bush.
That's delicious.
Well,
how
I
dare
believe that's called a pretzel. A pretzel.
How dare Obama have Bush appointee Alex Acosta sign off on a sweetheart deal when Obama was a newly elected senator from Illinois with no power. How dare he?
I don't know where he gets off. I don't know where this Obama fella gets off.
Go back to Kenya, Barack. She is an Emmy-nominated writer. She's also one of my favorite panelists that we've ever had on Have I Got News for You. And she is not only the funniest semisonic fan in the world, she may, as of this date, be the only semisonic fan in the world. Jenny Hagel, welcome to Have I Got News for Your Ears.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, in the intro, and it occurred to me as I was saying it, Emmy-nominated writer.
Yeah.
Not an Emmy-winning writer?
This is the craziest thing you're ever going to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I have a sports Emmy.
Really?
I have never played a sport. I'm the least athletic person you've ever met.
I'm not sure I believe you. You're a lesbian.
I know. It's like I'm a weird anomaly.
Okay.
It's like when you meet a right-handed first baseman. Look, see, even that is gay. Even that is gay.
That was incorrect, though. Most first basemen are right-handed.
Aren't they left-handed?
It's a left-handed first baseman.
See, proving my point. I have a sports Emmy for producing a series of like streaming videos at the Olympics. So I somehow ended up with a sports Emmy, which a thing I did not know is when you win an Emmy, then you have to pay for the actual physical Emmy. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. I don't need to have a physical Emmy. But all my friends thought it was so funny that I, of all people, had a sports Emmy that they were like, you have to buy it. You have to have it in your house.
How much is an Emmy?
This, I think, was $500, which is a lot of money for a bit, but it was making everybody laugh so much. I was like, yeah, I guess I do have to have the sports Emmy in my house.
I mean, as long as we're talking about it, we're talking about showbiz and trophies and the whole panoply of stuff. You have been a writer on a late night and performer on Late Night with Seth Meyers since 2016, I believe. And I want to ask you about your persistence because you submitted 35 packets to late night shows before being hired on a late night show. I've never done it. Is that a lot? It seems like a lot.
It's a lot. A late night packet is a lot of work. I don't know how much they're used anymore. I think partly with the advent of social media, it became easier for people to tell kind of what a writer's voice is and what their style is. You can kind of have a body of work out there online. But the packet would be pretty labor intensive, and it always had to be based on that week's news, which meant that a packet wasn't something you could just have on your laptop ready to go if somebody asked for it. So it was almost like having some kind of comedy starter pistol go off, and then you just kind of researched and read the news as much as you could and watched the show to make sure you had a sense of the tone, and then you just wrote as much as you could for like 2.5-3 days and then submitted a packet. And yeah, I did from the time I moved to New York to the time I got hired at Late Night, I think I did between 30 and 35 packets over the course of 6 years.
At a certain point, like after 32 or 33, I'm probably thinking to myself, hey, I don't think I have what it takes. I don't think I have whatever that muscle is. I don't think I have it. What kept you going? You just had no plan B? You wanted to write for Late Night?
I think part of what kept me going is I think I just am a little bit of like I am a persistent person. I grew up in Virginia around zero professional performers or artists. And so I just had this sense. My parents put me in children's theater when I was little because I was bad at sports. And I was like, oh, I think I want to be an actor. And then I feel like as I got older, the ideas or my understanding of the kinds of jobs available got narrower and more specific. And then I learned about Second City and I got a job in the touring company and they had us write some original material. And I was like, ooh, I might want to be a comedy writer. Like it kind of kept getting more specific. And then at one point when I became aware of late night shows, I was like, I think this might be what my brain is wired to do. So part of it was persistence and part of it was just like, I think in the whole world of writing, like nobody needs a sonnet from me. Nobody needs a play from me. I think for whatever reason, I really like writing and I think this is the kind of writing my brain is wired to do. So I just kept trying. That's the thing is every time I'd be about to give up, something would happen. Like I'd make it to the second round or the third round of something and then not get hired. And then actually, I don't know if I've ever told this story. Certainly not into a microphone. But one of the most soul-crushing things was I submitted to a late night show one time. It was a brand new late night show on like a small cable network. But I was like, I submitted a packet. And, you know, do you ever just like write something or do something where you're like, you just know it clicked? Like there are sometimes where I'm like, who knows if this is good? And sometimes I know it's bad. But this one, I submitted a packet and I was like, this packet is good. And I didn't even get an interview. And I just felt so crappy. And I was like, I guess I'm not good at this. I guess maybe I was wrong and I'm not good at this. And then the first episode came out and the very first segment they did was a segment I had submitted. And I only know that because the title of it was the same. All of the material, it was exactly the same. So then I felt like, okay, that crushed my soul because I was like, well, I don't know how much better I can do. If I gave you the very first segment of your very first episode, I don't know how much better. So I just thought at that point, I was like, maybe I don't have the right connections. But then it was like both soul crushing. So I was like, well, then what do I have to do to get hired? But I would just get these little hints throughout the process of like, okay, well, if I did get called back by The Daily Show, which is a respectable, legit show, there's got to be. So I don't know, Michael, I just kept going. And then to enter hour 3 of this answer, at one point I really did. At one point, I had a summer where I made it to the second and third round of like 5 or 6 different shows and didn't get hired. And I kind of had a meeting with myself and I was like, you know what? I think this is probably not going to happen. I think we can just take a deep breath and maybe we find a new dream. And then like a week later, Amber Ruffin texted me because she had been working at Late Night with Seth Meyers for 2 years. She said, hey, I think we're hiring. Do you want to put together a packet for me? And I am not kidding when I say the only reason I said yes is because I was too embarrassed to tell Amber that I was like giving up on my dream. I was like, that's an embarrassing thing to just put in a text message to be like, oh no, thank you, my soul has died. So I was like, I'll do this one last packet and then I won't get hired and then I will move on to a new dream. And that's when I got hired.
There's so many elements of that story that I love. The first is persistence, because so many people are like you and like me who come from zero background in this field. And you don't know how to get into it. And the only way I knew how to do it was, and most people I know, persistence trumps talent. I'm not saying you're obviously very talented, but I'm saying persistence trumps talent every single time. And for people who have a dream like that, persistence is so important. The second thing is that you were seeing progress. It was slow progress, it was incremental progress, but you were seeing that progress. And that was enough to keep you motivated. And the third thing that I think is so important is how much Amber Ruffin means to both of us. I love her.
Yeah, she's really one of the most important people in my life. And I think a lot of people who don't know us see the creative partnership and see us on TV, but I feel like that's kind of like, you know, when you see an iceberg, but there's a lot more underneath. When they are like 80% of the iceberg is underwater. What you see of us on TV is really just a small part of our friendship. I've known Amber for almost 20 years at this point. She's just a hugely important friend to me. And so I feel really lucky that then things played out in such a way that I also get to work with her.
When you finally got hired on Late Night with Seth Meyers, what was that experience as you sort of walked into the office the first day and the first week and the first month and year? Like, how did you settle into the role? How did you find the role changing? Have you seen ups and downs in terms of your own career and late night in general?
Well, to a large degree, the staff is divided into monologue writers and sketch writers. And when they hired me, it was really lovely, but I think I maybe was a little older than their typical hire and had just been around comedy longer and done some more writing. And so I think instead of assigning me to a team, they said, you seem to have a little bit of all of these skills. Why don't you bounce around and see where you feel like you fit? And so partly because that is what they asked of me, and also partly because I was terrified of getting fired and really wanted to make sure I did a good job, I spent my first year there just writing around the clock. I would submit monologue jokes. I would submit a new sketch every week. But I think I just spent that whole year trying to write as much as I could in every style that the show was exploring, and just trying to kind of see where I fit. I have, at this point, decades of experience writing sketch, but there were other people getting more sketches on. So I was like, okay, maybe that's not where I can contribute the most here. But I was getting monologue jokes on. I was starting to write straight to camera pieces about queer issues and Latinx issues. So I thought, that's kind of how the first year went, is that I would kind of try to do everything as much as I could. And then I thought, okay, where are we clicking? Let's dial back on the other things and we can really focus on the places where I really feel like I'm adding value.
Late night is going through some things at the moment, and I wonder what your take is on Colbert and that whole fiasco.
I mean, I because I don't work there, I really don't have any inside. I don't have any insight into it that you or the general public wouldn't have. I think what I can see that we can all feel happening is that there are just fewer late night shows on TV, and I'm very sad about that because I think that late night is. I mean, I don't know if it's douchey to say that a TV style is an art form, but I'll say an art form, right? That I'll go out on a limb. I'll go there, Michael. I'm going to call late night television an art form, but I think it is an art form that helps people.
Can I just interrupt for a second? Because I think this is important. So brave.
Thank you.
So brave. Continue.
I think it's an art form that helps people digest and process the news. And I think there's so much news that people want help synthesizing it, and late night shows do that. And just kind of reducing it down so that you can kind of understand what happened that day. And I think people also don't want to feel alone. And so I think when you have a host saying, hey, I'm also frustrated by this. I also think this is ridiculous. Or this news story also gave me hope. Then you also feel like there's somebody else feeling the things you are feeling. You feel in community, I think, with other Americans experiencing the news. So I will say that as the years go by, there are fewer and fewer late night shows. And I'm just sad about that, both as somebody who loves working in late night, but also as somebody who enjoys consuming late night.
Is it possible that the sort of traditional late night model with the band and the big set and everything else is just becoming, financially unviable, but that the appetite for that distillation of the day's events remains? And is it possible that the form just needs to reinvent itself the way all art forms reinvent themselves?
Yes, I think that's probably very true. I think if you have a model that's based on ad revenue, but then technology has advanced to the point where we can all skip ads, I'm guessing that something about that has to evolve. The analogy I think of sometimes is, how you can turn a little boat very fast and an aircraft carrier takes forever to turn because it's big. I wonder if it's a matter of networks really just they're taking longer to pivot to the reality that we live in where you can't rely on an ad buy to fund a show. And I wonder if we do have to evolve to some model that can not only feel artistically relevant, but then also have a business model that is viable and sustainable.
Maybe the future just looks like a lot of episodes every week of Have I Got News for You?
Honestly, sounds great. Love that show.
You strike me, the more I speak to you today, as somebody who has a hard time not working. Are you a workaholic? Are you a type A personality?
Yes to type A personality, for sure. I feel like I'm the poster for a type A personality. I do have a hard time not working. I think I like to feel like I'm working towards something. I don't need to be chaotically busy, but I think I always like to feel like there's some kind of creative or intellectual forward motion. Like I'm working towards a goal. I am in the process of learning something or being challenged by something. So I think I do have a hard time when I don't feel like that is happening.
Are you able to not do that? Are you able to sort of separate in moments and be okay with that kind of like anxiety of I'm not working, I'm not doing something productive today? And does that impact your sort of personal life?
I really struggle with it, actually. I called a friend one time at the end of the day. They were like, hey, how was your day? And I said, I had the stupidest day. I didn't get anything done. And they said, you know that your value as a human is not your level of productivity. But when they said that, I think they meant it rhetorically, but I really was like, no, actually, I did not know that. You are introducing that concept to me right now for the first time.
It's such an American idea, you know, like that we are
American.
tied to how much output we provide for essentially the economy. And it's a
That's
bummer.
right. No, I think that's right, that's very American. It's very American to always be in motion, to always be producing something, to always be striving for something, to always be working. I think that's very true. And then I think you take the people who are most aligned with that mentality and they all move to New York. So I think I think living in New York really dials up your sense of how important that is.
You mentioned that you are a type A, you came to New York, you're from Virginia, I'm from New Jersey, I came to New York. Many, many, many people from all over the world, all walks of life, come to New York. How do you look at New York City and how it sort of represents the nation, its aspirations, and your own aspirations? It might be a kind of a heavy question to end with, but I think, you know, New York's worth mentioning.
The first thing I'll tackle, part of that, is that when you say how does New York represent the rest of the nation, I do not think it does. I think New York is a very unique, I think America has a few cities that are really not like any other place. Like LA is not like the rest of America. New Orleans, wildly different than the rest of America. So I think it's okay to be like, yeah, New York is not the rest of America. But what I think, and I really struggled to kind of fit in, I lived in Chicago for 10 years and loved it passionately and would have happily stayed there my whole life if I could have continued my career there, but I kind of ran out of jobs. So I moved to New York, and it took me a minute to figure out how to fit into New York. Because there are parts of New York that are difficult. It's very expensive. You have to walk everywhere. Every grocery you buy, you think, how heavy is it? And do I need this juice? Because I will be carrying this juice for 8 blocks. So what is my commitment to juice? So I think there are aspects, you know, you're going to climb a lot of stairs. New York has a lot of challenges, but I think some of the things that I really do love about New York, my dad is white, my mom is Puerto Rican. I present very white. My last name sounds white. And every other place I have ever lived, I have not been allowed to exist in both identities. Every time I say something about being Puerto Rican, people are like, well, no, you're not. But like, not really. Or like when I was growing up in Virginia, people didn't know where Puerto Rico was or what it was. And so I think a lovely thing about New York is every kind of person is here. And so whatever you say you are, people are like, all right. And I don't mean like you can make up an identity, but I guarantee you I'm not the first half white, half Puerto Rican friend that anyone has. My son has 2 moms. They are divorced. I guarantee he is not the first person with 2 divorced moms who is also a quarter Puerto Rican that anyone has met. And I think I love that about New York. Like nobody, whatever you are, there's another one of you here. And so I think I have found a real lovely piece in my identity here and that I have not found anywhere else. And then I also think that what I love about New York is because there are so many things going on in this city. Like it's not like DC where there's only politics or LA where there's only the entertainment industry. Because so much is happening here, someone can be the absolute best in their field, the absolute king of their mountain, and someone standing next to them on the sidewalk has never heard of them and does not care. And I think that is healthy and good for people. I think your ego cannot get too big here. Like you said, like I have a bunch of Emmy nominations and a sports Emmy. Most New Yorkers have never heard of me and do not know who I am. And I think that is good. And I think it would be easy to be this kind of person and be in LA and think I was hot shit. I don't know that anything mentally healthy comes from thinking that you are hot shit to an unchecked degree. So it's like, I think what I love about New York is whatever you want to achieve, it is here. And also here is someone who does not give a shit about your dream or you. And I think for those 2 things to coexist are very healthy.
I agree with you. I think that's a lovely summation of New York and the New York attitude. People think there's a brusqueness about it, and there kind of is, but there's also a warmth and a generosity and I don't like the word tolerance because it implies I'm barely putting up with you.
Right.
But let's say a kind of embrace of identity of whatever your identity is, you know. You know, you could be I'm trying to think of people who are so different from each other, but you could be Eric Adams or you could be Jim Gaffigan, and both of those people come to New York and make their dreams a reality. In Eric Adams' case, a terrible reality for the rest of us, but
right.
You get the point.
Have you ever heard that whole metric between like kind and nice? How kind and nice are two different things?
No.
So like there's this whole theory about like how people can be kind and nice. They can be kind but not nice, and nice but not kind. And I think that I think you're right that there's a misunderstanding that people think New Yorkers are not kind. And
right.
I was actually really surprised to find that that's not true. I think New Yorkers are actually deeply kind. They just are direct and they don't do it with all the flowery language. Mm-hmm. So like one time I was walking down the street in New York City and a man was walking by me, a total stranger. And right when he got just to my ear level, he goes, "Check your fly." And I looked down and he kept moving. And if you don't think I was walking down the street with my fly down, that is nice. He didn't say, "Excuse me, ma'am, I'm sorry to bother you. I hope it's not an imposition." But that man saved me from embarrassing myself wherever it was I was headed. And that is deeply, and he didn't have to do anything. He could have kept walking. So I think New York is a deeply nice place. It's all just delivered like uncut.
It's a deeply kind place. It's not necessarily it's kind, but not necessarily nice, I think is what.
That's right. Because people could be, because he could have been like, "Hey, asshole, check your fly." And I still would have been like, "This man had my back." I would have been like,
exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's also, I think I love that there's an efficiency and a directness to people's kindness here that I actually find very endearing.
Well, Jenny Hagel, I find you very endearing. Thank you for being a guest on Have I Got News for Your Ears? And I look forward to seeing you on the mothership, Have I Got News for You, sometime soon.
I hope to see you very soon. I think you're an absolute delight, and it was a pleasure to spend time talking with you, Michael.
Thanks, Jenny.
All right, bye.
On the next Have I Got News for Your Ears, I will be joined by the author and commentator Molly Jong-Fast. Have I Got News for Your Ears releases new episodes every Wednesday wherever you find your podcast and also the places where you may not. Keep an ear open because very soon we do have something fun planned to include you, our Hignify fans. So please follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel to find out more.